Welcome to Naperville Notables. I'm Liz Spencer. Today we're at Center Stage Theater. We're talking with Kandiss Hernandez, founder and creator of Kids Cabaret. So Kandi, you and I, we've known one another for about 14, 15 years now.
Yeah, I think 15.
Almost 15.
Yeah.
Because I met you when I first arrived at NCTV. Right, and you were our host for Spotlight.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know you had a theater background. I just knew you as this woman who did Spotlight. and had 4 small children, Harrison being like 2 or 3.
Harrison was probably 2.
So we're going along, and I think I arrived in March of 2002.
Okay.
And about August. Of 2002, you and I had developed a relationship. We'd gotten to know one another, little pals, and you're like, hey, do you think you could tape this musical
show
theater
that I did?
Cabaret, musical cabaret that I'm doing. And I was with you all, I'm like, great, in my backyard. And that's when I had that big pause, when you said, in my backyard, because I'm like, oh my gosh.
How am I going to say no to her? Because we're pals, and yet it's in her backyard. It's in her backyard, really?
So, really, right, yeah, exactly. Really came to my mind. And
I can't back out of this now, because I already said yes.
Right, and I'm doomed. I'm going to do this. And you know, I'm like, fine. And so I convinced Carl, who worked for me, to come along. I didn't have to convince him. I told him was coming. But then I convinced my intern, who was interning, to come along, because I needed a little bit extra.
All about the backyard experience.
Right, well, yeah, and I promised him pizza, which you had promised me. So that was a motivator for us. So
I knew you well right off the bat.
Oh, yeah, food helps. Food helps me in anything. I'll give you food. Okay, fine, I'm in. Yeah. And so then we get there. And it's a warm August afternoon.
Yeah.
And we get
lights in the trees.
Well, right, we're hauling our thing there, and then you tell me it's on your patio. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. And then I get back there. I think the first thing that struck me is that you had put the Statue of Liberty up against the wall and it was peeking over the roof line.
Yeah, which the New York City skyline roof line.
Right, but you had the complete
built on my backyard.
Right, built on your house. And then your patio was in front of that. So you built that. Yeah. And then suddenly, you know, the piano that had been inside your house
carried outside to the house.
Carried outside. And then suddenly there was guitar and some
work lights for my lights.
Right, for your lights. And then Gary was, your husband was spraying for bugs, and we were trying to figure out where we were going to power and where we were going to be.
And it's the old homes in Highlands.
Oh, right.
East Highlands. Mm-hmm. So 1960s, 50s homes that only had fuses, so not even breaker boxes. So you were going to trip a lot of fuses. Right.
And so we actually set our control room in your neighbor's backyard, which we pulled power over from here. And then we ran power from your neighbor 2 doors down, calling Cuff, who has been a longtime friend of NCTV and Kids Cap. So we're running power through 3 backyards. And I am watching all this, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is what have I gotten myself into? And also, just so glad it didn't rain.
Yeah.
And you know, and people start coming in, and the cast was really cute because they ranged from, you know, probably
first grade maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say 5.
Kindergartners. Yeah, maybe we did. Up to 18.
18.
Yeah, because we had a couple of seniors in high school.
Right, and they were all dressed
in the 30s and 40s. It was the Manhattan Review.
Right, but they're all dressed up and they're all wearing, you know, lipstick, and their hair is up, and I'm like,
they're in costume.
They're in costume. And I am just sitting back having, you know, no theater experience. This is the interesting thing, is that I never really, I think I did an 8th grade thing, an 8th grade musical. It was my only theater experience.
Now, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
I should have gotten you on stage.
Right. So not really a stage or theater person. So suddenly I'm just so impressed, and people start showing up.
Yeah, and 80 people.
Right, in your backyard.
Yeah, with the lawn chairs
and the lights. And I'm sure if somebody had flown overhead in their plane, they would have seen this big glowing backyard from
magic
coming up. Well, and it was magic.
It was
when it started. Those kids, and it was magic.
It was passion. They had a lot of passion for what they were doing, and it was done with this concept of love theater. Mm-hmm. Take what you've just learned here and make it part of your life. without auditions, without anything but just the joy of performing. And I think that's what Kids Cabaret has grown up to be, just that joy of performing for everybody.
Right, well, and the magic came from that. Because you brilliantly casted, every kid had a time to shine. You know, and you casted them in a way that they could perform their part and do it well. They some may have knocked it out of the park well, and others may have just done it well, and that was as far as it could
remember,
get.
we're talking about a 5-year-old compared to the 18-year-old.
But
in their own right, that 5-year-old sold it just as much as the 18-year-old at their level, at where they are.
Right, well, and I think that's part of the magic, is that you are able to recognize where they are.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think it. Now you started this because of a very personal connection.
Well, theater was always a part of my life since I was in like 5th grade.
Right, you are an accomplished actress. You are equity card holder. Yep. You have done theater.
I've done it since 5th grade.
TV, the whole 9 yards.
I have.
Right, but then you became a mom, and you
and my daughter took a liking to theater.
Right.
My son, an athlete. So we watched Ryan grow up on the soccer field and then decided to go football. He did traveling soccer, and he got better and better and better. And the reason being, in sports, for our kids, our youth, we train them. And not only do we train them how to play sports, the audience or the spectators cheer them on. So you're running the wrong way, you'll win next. I mean, gosh, we do that for professional football or for professional sports. Cubs are going to win the World Series this year, you know. So, I mean, we know how to cheer on and build confidence to athletes. And we don't know how to do that in theater. So theater is you audition or you're out. Where is the training then? Where do you learn? Where do you get better? Where are you cheering them on? So my daughter auditioned for something in 5th grade. I didn't prepare her, didn't help her, didn't do anything, because I thought, you're brilliant. Of course you're going to get cast. And she didn't, and she came out, where's your headshot and resume? I think she's in 5th grade. I'm like, really? Headshot and resume in 5th grade? Okay. So I got probably what you would call Mama Bear upset at myself for not preparing her. And I said, let's get some friends together. Let's do this. And we're going to have a theater camp in my backyard. And we're going to practice, and we're going to costume it. And I'm going to share with you the experience of what theater can do for your confidence. When I went to high school, we only had 800 people in our high school. I got every leading part. I was amazing. I was brilliant. And then I went to college and I went, oh, I'm not as brilliant as I thought I was. But my confidence was strong because of this training that I had in high school. So that's kind of how Kids Cabaret is modeled. Every child center stage to build that confidence so that by the time you get to our extremely competitive high schools, you can be seen. And you have confidence in yourself to go, even if you don't make it, you know that you gave it your best shot. And that's important, I think, to all kids.
I think so too, and I think that is a great way for you to start this company, Kids Cabaret, my Fair Lady Productions, that has grown into something very big. I think
and not even having that mission to grow big, just each day show up, hopefully kids show up, and then start working with them and giving them all the energy I have, which many would say is probably a lot of energy.
It is a lot of energy.
And to feed that into these kids, and not ego feed, but like work ethic feed, like work really hard at a goal, whatever that goal may be. And it might be vacuuming my space, but it's 100% effort is really what I think comes out of this. It isn't totally based on talent, although I have amazing, talented kids. I think it's based more on effort. And when kids understand that that effort is put out, things will come back to you. You will get parts. You will be seen. People want to hear what you have to say. Opportunities are given to kids here, and it's up to them to meet those opportunities and to excel in that, and that's what we push for.
Now with the Manhattan Review, you wrote that. You picked the songs, you figured out how to do that, and you continued on, and you wrote another one.
I wrote, the kids came back and said, can we do this again? And I said, well, it's not in my backyard. We live in Chicago. It's going to be winter next time. And so we were able to rent Crossroads Theater. And they had opened in downtown Naperville, and we were able to rent from them.
And they were in
Naperville, right on Chicago Avenue.
Right, right.
We were able to grow our roots of Kids Cabaret at Crossroads and Comedy Shrine. We really were. We were able to do many shows. And when I had 18 kids and every child is center stage, that's my brilliant mission. Not forecasting 5-10 years later where we're at 400 kids. And now doing every child center stage translates into probably 23 to 25 different casts of each show we do to give everybody that chance to shine.
Well, and I think that sets you apart because many times they're running one cast, maybe two casts.
And they may put 100 people on stage, but they're not center stage.
Right.
And it does. It's unique. And it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for you.
So much work.
So much work to cast, 13 bells.
Any director would tell you that. It's a lot of work to put on one show, one production, one cast. But if you even think about it, you just mentioned Belle.
Right.
So if I have 25 bells in different shows, it would be nice if they were all a size 8, but they're not. So we have a 5-year-old Belle and a high school Belle. So you have costumes that you have to develop for ages 5 years old to 18. That makes it difficult too, but rewarding in the same.
Right, so we did multiple casts. So you grew from a core base of like about 18 teams.
18 was the beginning, yeah.
Right, and super group. That lots of them are still with you today, which I think is a very big testimony to you.
They stay throughout most of their grade school, junior high, and if I lose them in high school, it's because their wings are spread and they are successful, which was the whole point of Kids Cabaret anyway. I believe our schools are brilliant. We have awesome high schools here, but your opportunities, you gotta be at the best of the best to get those opportunities. And I want my kids to shine, and they do. Go to almost any production in any of these schools and go, Kids Cab, Kids Cab, Kids Cab, Kids Cab.
That's
and
awesome.
That training, it isn't a, I mean, if I put a bat in my kids' hands and told them to swing at this ball every day, every year, for 5 shows a year, you're going to start hitting some home runs.
Right.
And we do. The cool thing is then, we have kids now who have graduated college, and they still come back as either to donate their time to perform on stage with a wonderful craft that they've developed, just to check in, let me know how they're doing. It's awesome. I mean, I get why teachers get very close with their kids, and now I get to watch kids start at 1st grade. I know all about them. By the time they're walking in with car keys, I'm like, you're 16 now? As I've watched them grow up. They're as much part of my family as my family is in some ways.
Right, your family is all of Kids Cap, and your family kind of fits right in there with that because your boys have performed.
They've grown up with them as well.
Right, yeah, your daughter has performed.
You care about them like you're that distant, the cousins that, the family parties that you have at Christmas, we have that at every show.
Now, as you started out, you would write the material. Right?
I did, because it's very expensive to get the rights to shows. And so I didn't have any money except for my Visa card. So I elected to write musicals. And I'm not writing music. What I do is teach generations. So we have the 70s show, which is the Electric Express. Pop's Malt Shop is the 1950s. Laugh Back to the 60s is my homage to Laugh In from the 60s. We have My Best Friend's an Alien from the 80s. Sentimental Journey from the 40s. So the cool thing about that is not only are you teaching kids a show, and you have a very loosely based play about that, but this is what kids are wearing these days, and this is what the attitude was in this era. I loved teaching that part of it. That's why I like doing plays that deal with differences that kids have never experienced before. We've done Glass Menagerie, we've done Of Mice and Men, and Brighton Beach Memoirs. And it's interesting when the kids are learning the dialogue of those plays, how much history is behind it. That I know that they have grown in that way as well. So it's so much more than just the acting of what these kids get on stage. That's the cream of the crop. That's the performance level, but you don't know the depths of what they've learned. even if you go back to just doing a musical like Beauty and the Beast, it's not so much the performance, coming out and shining in front of people, but when you go backstage, these kids have to remember to take this off, put this on. People are going crazy with, you know, trying to get on their costumes before their next entrance. That's a lot of thinking that goes on in kids that they can't just take for granted. So it's the development of these kids is what I think parents see when they go outside the theater and they see these kids being more confident. School teachers have gone to parents at conferences asking, what have you done with this kid? This kid used to be shy. It's now raising its hand first. And they're like, Kids Cabaret.
That's awesome.
That makes you just go, oh my gosh. And I don't know if I ever really knew how much theater changed people. I just loved to perform. I loved being center stage. I knew what it did for me. I didn't know all the extra things that it could do for kids. That really, we don't teach go to Hollywood. We don't teach you're going to be the next Broadway star. We teach you're going to be great at whatever you do. And you're going to give it 100% passion and energy, whatever you do, and bring it to your life. And that's what theater could do. That's the magic of theater.
It is the magic of theater, and being able to, you know, to talk confidently in front of a group and present yourself. Those are all just
job skills,
right? Key to
college,
life,
yeah.
and that was always your goal. I think that you do a brilliant job. I'm going to tell one story because it really is one of my favorite ones. I have lots.
You do have lots. That's why I just paused.
You're like,
edit.
No, but it had to do with building confidence. And this was it was Magical World of Toys. And I had popped by, and you had, of course, you know, short a couple people, and you're like, hey, can you stage hand with Samantha? I'm like, sure. I don't know what I'm doing, but just, you know, here I go. So
you're backstage.
I'm backstage with Sam.
Is it a show?
It is a show. It's a full show.
So we're ready on. Audience there. You're I don't remember this. Tell me the story.
You're right. I'm one of your stagehand. I had put makeup on here. I'd done this. I'm like, I kept asking the kids, okay, what do you need help with? Kandi sent me back. So, did everything from makeup to hair gel to props to
getting
pants.
the kid dressed and putting them on stage. God, yeah.
So Sam and I are tucked behind. We're on stage, but we're behind one of the flats, so we could watch out because we had to do something. And suddenly, Sam and I are looking at one another, waiting, and we hear these gasps, these big gasps. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm thinking, good God, is somebody having an asthma attack? Because it was just big gasp. Do you
couldn't
remember?
Breathe. Yeah, I know what story you're
right.
telling.
And it's, it's your lead elf.
Yeah.
And he's not having an asthma attack.
He's having a panic attack.
And he's to the point of tears because he has forgotten where
But he's given it 100% through it.
Right.
He's still saying his lines. That was the thing. He was going, I don't know. He would not give up his lines.
Right. So he's trying hard, and you're in the audience because as a director, that's where you are. And you get up, and I hear your voice from behind, and you start
rubbing his back.
Well, you start singing too,
with him, yeah.
Right? The songs, because you knew that, and so you performed the rest of that song with him, with his hand. Right, you
totally ruined the show as far as the aesthetic of it.
Oh no, you're kidding. I think every
the audience was. Another audience member brought up a bottle of water for him.
Right. It was.
We were all just like.
It was just
cheering him.
Right. I mean, we're all cheering in the back, and you guys are, and it was tremendous. And he gets through it. And so the next song, he's right back in there. You're back sitting. Sam and I are so relieved in back.
Oh, everyone's like this. Yeah.
Right. And then he, we finished
the show,
and that's tremendous.
And he got a wonderful applause at the end. And the cool thing is he did come back for another show. Right. But if I had thought that the show matters more than the kid,
right,
which sometimes is that mentality, like, you're ruining my show. Who cares about the show? It's all about the kids. So you're supporting it. I'm singing with him. It doesn't matter now that I've ruined the fact that this elf has got this old lady sitting next to him singing. But he has now got the confidence of going, I got through that. Right. And I'm coming back to do it again. And he was actually fine after that and never had an issue. But it does happen, and you can get scared. And if I had handled it maybe any differently, I handled it naturally of however you would handle it. But he never would have gone back on stage. It would have really scarred him.
Right, right. That moment could have really either been the very big plus it turned out to be, because I think it turned out to be that very big plus because it's you and this is what you do. But it could have been just the opposite. And just
like go to blackout.
Right. And he just stands
We worked through it together, and he realized that, you know, people still applauded him.
Right.
That's the key. It's like saying, if you strike out, do you boo the guy? You don't. You go, you'll be up again. You'll be amazing next time. It's what you do. And that builds that confidence.
Right, and that was over at Crosstown, then Comedy Shrine. So then you moved here.
Yeah. Well, we were able to get rehearsal space here. Okay. And each crossroads we're starting to get so big that we need to do something else. So we were able to buy rehearsal space for Kids Cabaret, about 5,000 square feet. We were so excited. We had a grand opening. Mayor Pradle cut the ribbon for us. It was like somebody had just put gold in our hands, and we had this beautiful rehearsal space.
A permanent space, so you're not moving yourself in it. Yeah, and that was a really big thing. Yeah. You always had to clean up and move everything from your house or to wherever we were storing it.
NCTV, we've been there too. But just to be able to have a place where people could call home.
Right.
And we started growing, and you know that saying, if you build it, you know, they will come. Well, now we have a place, and we had there maybe 2 years until Comedy Shrine stopped rehearsing or stopped having their space there. So now we don't have a rehearsal space or performance space.
Right.
So it just happened that Galleria Lighting had left this warehouse space, and we signed on the X to take on another 10,000 square feet and build Center Stage Theater. And it was a crazy venture. A lot more space, and you had to have this blind faith and so much work. I was such an idiot that I thought when you sign a contract to build a theater, that little elf theater builders would come in and build me a theater. And I remember our contractor just looked at me and goes, "So what are we doing?" I go, "You want me to know how to do this? I don't know what I'm doing." But I learned, and if I used to say this was my general catchphrase to my electricians or to my drywall builders, if this were your space, where would you put the 12-volt outlets? And they'd go, over there and over there. And I go, okay, that's what I'll do. And you just learn, and I think we put a lot of hard work and effort here. We did most of the work ourselves, besides the stuff that we couldn't do. But Nova 8 had given us the theater chairs full of gum and yuck, and we cleaned and scrubbed and painted. My father was here working, helping this still kind of crazy vision on what we were trying to do. So now we have 15,000 square feet. We do Kids Cabaret alone, over 350 performances a year here. Not to mention our audition group, Center Stage Players, they do another 25. So if we spread out, we would be here doing shows every day. Sometimes, though, on the weekends when we're in productions, we do 4, 5 a day to get all those kids in and perform. And every parent gets to see their child shine.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Right, and in this space, I mean, you did a great job. For not knowing what you did, what you were doing, you did great. And it's a nice size. It's just the right.
It's intimate. It's perfect for kids.
Yes.
So that way they are not overwhelmed by bigger theaters. And we sell out our 162 seats, but it's just the right size to build that training, because part of it is the relationship that you would have with that audience. If you're going to have that confidence building, you have to have a nice relationship with them. And they have to trust that that audience is right there with them. And it's much easier to do when they're in that little bubble with them.
Right, well, and 160 seats is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
So it's
and we rent out to many other theater groups, Indian dance groups. We have had bands perform on the stage.
It's a nice space to get moving with.
Yeah, and build from there. We've had original playwrights perform here their work, so now they're published. So it's kind of cool. We get to house a lot of interesting different groups here.
You do, and you've built it from your backyard forward, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the size of your backyard was.
And I wonder today, if this didn't exist and I went, you know what I think I'm going to do? Start a theater in my backyard. I don't know if I could recreate that. It just the stars did align. I'm telling you, I never had this business mission going on. It was just keep moving forward. It is the best line I can use and the best information I can give to kids. Just keep moving forward. It may not always be in the direction that you think you're going, but just keep following a path that is moving forward. I never look back, and at least in this arena, you just, you learn from your mistakes, you grow from them, you take a risk. All those things are so valid in teaching kids. They see me take risks all the time. I had this one 8th grader come into me, he goes, Kandi, how much would it cost to rent this space? I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, how much would it be to buy this space? I go, I don't know, Ben, why? $1 million gazillion, how much, what do you think? I go, what does it matter? I go, let's say a couple $1 million maybe. I don't even know, it's probably so under, but a lot, money we don't have. I go, why do you care? He goes, I just never want this place to ever go away.
Oh, that's
I'm like,
fun.
Okay, pressure.
Pressure. Well, and I think
because this is a kid's home.
Right, but it's pressure, but I also think it's a big testament to you. That they want to, make sure other kids have it. They want to make sure that you're taken care of. I mean, I watch them when they're with you, and you're taking care of them, but they're very concerned about taking care of you.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, they are. They don't.
I miss that.
Yeah, no, they're very concerned, especially your older group, the core group that started.
Yeah, they're good to me.
Yeah.
And the little ones, we start at, I'm teaching right now, James and the Giant Peach, kindergarten through 4th grade, and it's so rewarding to have kids that are like, I'm not talking to you. By the end of the 3 months to singing, I mean, the first day, they're like, where's mom? Yeah. Hiding behind her leg going, come on, you can do this. I feel my father channeling through me. Right. When I talk to kids like that, he truly had a great belief in educating and working with kids, hands-on, like work with them.
Well, I think part of your trick with that is that you don't look at them as 4-year-olds or 4th graders. You're like, come on, we're going to...
Vice versa.
Right.
Who's the kid here?
Right. And your dad never looked at that.
No.
He was just like, well, we're going to do this.
You're capable.
You're capable, right. And here's what you're capable of doing because I've decided...
And if you're not quite there, we're going to get there.
Right, yeah. So here's your goal. Yeah. I figured that out. And then he was all about feeding you. So, right, which that's why he and I got along. So
he's awesome.
So what's the future?
The future. It's actually a great question. So many things that I think about because I was younger 15 years ago. And I can say myself never retiring. But if you think about my backyard, and this is where Kids Camp started, and obviously the first rehearsal space we have was a wonderful platform to jump up to. Then Center Stage Theater, wonderful. We opened up another theater space. We have 3 working theaters here that we do birthday parties in and continually educating Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. But now we're here, so what else? Where else do we go? And I have a couple things that I think I would like to start a senior initiative, which if every child could be center stage, wouldn't it be great if you're looking for continuing education, like during the day, we could work with seniors in putting on shows. That would be a great next level for me to take on. So that's in the background, and a few other things to help us grow. Never out of the realm that I would love to have another theater that is a children's theater, Naperville's Children's Theater, that my college performance groups now that are educated in theater with a college degree need a place to start. Well, what better way to have a place to perform for the community and surrounding communities? Children's theater. So let's say you go to the DuPage Children's Museum and you spend a few hours there with your kids, and guess what? At 1 o'clock, we go to the Children's Theater where they perform. So it's a professional theater.
Doing children's theater.
Doing children's theater.
Right.
I think that would be amazing for Naperville because they already look at this community as a family community, and to have that year-round would be amazing. And I have the actors.
And I have no doubt that you'll make it. Thanks for taking time to sit down and share a little bit of your story and reminisce with me.
Of course. We just always do that. We just usually don't have cameras on.
This is true, but it's important. It was important for me for people to know that story because I think it's wonderful, and I think it's not everybody that would do that, Kandi. It's not anybody that would do that. So thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you.